Gaming is completely a social activity.
It's not just enough that you log in and kill things, but there's a certain level of social interaction there as well.
I was on a business trip and I have an okay laptop, but I can't run the game on the laptop, so I keep in touch via forums while I'm gone. I came back Friday night, I get home, it's 12 midnight, and I hop in the game, and I'm like, I'm home.
In almost every type of online game, period, there are teams. They may not play together, as far as in the game may not require a team, but people form groups of people who are part of a team, a clan, a guild, a tribe, whatever they call it for that particular game.
In Quake, they were called clans, and all that really means is it's a family or a group that gets together. You are a team, and you all as a family and a team go and compete against other teams and whatnot.
Get a couple of friends, whether that you know in real life, which I personally do, or you meet online and you kind of form a team of similar activities that you like to do.
And outside the game, that level of interaction is skyrocketing. People are getting together, they're forming groups, they're communicating between groups and inside the group themselves, setting up web pages, IRC channels, they meet online, they talk about what they're going to do, they scrim, they fight against each other for practice. All that kind of stuff has just exploded with the advent of online playing.
Right now we have about 67 people, I think, if I remember. About 67. We grow and shrink over time. We try to bring in people who we feel fit our model of family and fun.
Right now our clan is probably about 10 people active.
We have one happy case where one of our members relocated to where we live because he met one of our members, who's one of my best friends, online, and relocated up here to be with her.
There are a bunch of clans out there that probably, at least from my perspective, went way hardcore, and it almost became a lifestyle in that they would have tryouts to be part of their clan, and for me that's taking it a bit too seriously.
In a multiplayer game, most multiplayer games consist of two parts. You have a client part, which is the part that you as the person who plays the game actually runs and interacts with. And that's responsible for showing you the game and for taking input from you, the keyboard and the mouse or whatever. And the other part of this total game is the server end. And this is the part that runs probably remotely, and it allows multiple people to connect to this one server and interact with each other.
First-person shooter is a game where you get in and you are in as a first person and you're looking at the surroundings and you have some team objective, not unlike football or basketball, where you're trying to kill the other team, eliminate the other team, achieve some objective.
You could have deathmatch where it's free-for-all, every man for himself. And what happens is you have either a certain number of kills that you're supposed to make, which are called frags, or there's a certain time limit, and whoever has the most frags at the end of the time limit wins.
That quickly got boring to a bunch of people, and mainly because there's just no strategy. It's just shoot whatever moves. So other game types began to get developed that took advantage of certain strategic behaviors within the game.
Like capture the flag. Each team has a flag. When you join, you're assigned a team, and the object is to get the other flag back to your base and touch that flag to your flag, and you get a point. There's nothing persistent there. Every time you connect, you start out with a fresh character, full health, everything. It's just like the entire universe created there. You play on that map, and then everything resets basically at the end of your round.
MMORPG is a little different in that it is, the first word is massive. Massive multiplayer, meaning that there are many players in games like EverQuest. Asheron's called Dark Age of Camelot. I know in the server we're in, there are 1,000 to 2,000 people on at any one time, and we can be hanging out and interacting with a lot of those people. So it's massive multiplayer, it's online, and the difference is it's a role-playing. So first-person shooter is I might come in, I'm going to play, I'm going to achieve some kind of goal and win or loss, and then I'm out. And the next time I come back, it's sort of an all-new story. With a role-playing game, you're building some sort of thing over time.
When you connect to the game and you play, whatever happens in that world, when you disconnect, the world exists outside of your character. So therefore, other people experience that world while you're not there, and then when you connect again later on, things have changed, they're different. I've never met a gamer who liked bubbly humor.
There are several gaming type humor sites out there like Penny Arcade and User Friendly.
Penny Arcade had one where Jesus came back and played Quake 3 and yelled at someone on the server who was trying to talk because in a Quake 3 game, it's not a place to talk, you're supposed to play the game.
They told him that it wasn't nice to shoot somebody while he was talking, and he said that the chatting bitch should probably be on IRC talking.
It was very funny. They just were trying to point out how people treat the game and talking in the game to each other when you're supposed to be playing.
Another infamous incident on the internet was the phenomenon that is known as all your base. There was a game that was called Zero Wing. I forget what platform it was developed for, but it was basically developed in Japan. And whenever a game is developed in Japan, of course it's done in native Japanese, and if you want to sell it in America, you need to translate the words in the game to English.
The English translations of the original Japanese text in that game were horribly translated, very bad. And it ended up with some lines that were very humorous because they didn't make much sense and they used English words incorrectly.
Rather than saying, all your bases have been captured by us, you must surrender, the game says, all your base belong to us. Completely wrong grammatically, but for whatever reason that phrase took off over the internet.
It was just kind of a, where's the beef kind of was for, people who watch TV with the Wendy's commercials. That was kind of this, it was filling the same role on the in the gaming community.
A mod is an abbreviation for modification.
Modifications where you take a standard game and you actually add features to it or gameplay that wasn't originally released in the box.
Beginning with the introduction of certain games into the PC market, with Quake, for instance, and even before that, Doom, the creators of the game gave the consumers of the game the capability to modify that game.
For example, you can download tools that will enable you to create a new level or environment for your players to play in. You can also alter some of the game logic that the developer has given you access to, such that you can create new weapons and new game types.
And that allowed people to basically create their own game, kind of standing on the shoulders of the original creators. And since then, the capability to modify a PC game has been a large part of the PC gaming community.
Some games actually have survived longer than they were intended to, just from the fact that the modifications that were released from third persons have basically bred new life into the game.
And a great example is Half-Life. That game came out in late 1998, and nearly 4 years later, it's extremely popular due to two mods to the game, one called Counter-Strike and another called Day of Defeat.
What Half-Life was a single-player game, pretty much exclusively. It had a multiplayer aspect, but the focus was single-player, telling a story. You were the main character, and you were fighting aliens from another dimension invading Earth. And what Counter-Strike did was they took this engine and they turned it into a first-person tactical, team-based game which pit terrorists versus counter-terrorists.
And what those games do is it creates a demand for the base game, which you need to have installed in order to play the modifications.
Counter-Strike started out as a regular mod. People downloaded it like crazy, and it went through several beta versions, and it became extremely popular. And Sierra, who had published Valve's game, Half-Life, basically approached them about doing a Counter-Strike fully retail version and putting it in a box and selling it. What they started out as a hobby in their spare time, they got hired on to do that full time as a professional job.
What's a LAN party? LAN party is a bunch of people getting together and bringing their computers, connecting them all up in a local area network, hopefully with internet access, but not always, and playing whatever game or games they enjoy.
But it's just a bunch of friends or people that you usually know through online gaming or in real life, and you just get together in a localized room and everybody's connected, and we just game for hours upon end.
You pack up all your stuff, you go to a central spot, and you get to play with friends and people you've never met in the surrounding area.
LAN parties can be anywhere from 3 to 5 people who live in the same apartment, and every Saturday they play games, have a few friends over, and that's it. 2, in Europe, they've had 1,000 people at a LAN party.
The ones that we usually go to are 2 to 3 day events straight through. You sleep when you want to sleep, you eat when you want to eat. Other than that, you're usually in the middle of the LAN room gaming.
LAN party, pretty much, it's 2 parts. It's one part community, and the other part is the actual playing. A lot of what happens in a good LAN party is where there's a lot of bonding, a lot of friendship, a lot of meeting new people they've never met, trying new games, finding out tips and tricks, talking about war stories, stuff that's happened in the past, stuff that just happened, games that just got played. The other part's the actual competing. It's great to be able to go out there, play a game, finish the game, and then go pat that person on the back and relive it right there.
4 versus 4 capture the flag tournament is going to start at 2:30.
Stop looking at my screen! Oh, what was that? But I got a posthumous jingle blood from stepping on a trip mine. Woo!
Yeah, but I get the credit for killing you.
I get the credit for killing you too.
That's the best of both worlds.
It's like Christmas.
You win, I win.
And we all go home happy.
I think that a lot of people do pirate software because they want to play the games that are out there.
It depends on the person. I've seen a lot of people go to LAN parties, they never ask. I personally, when I go to a LAN party, I never ask, I never look. I'm too busy playing, hanging out and having fun.
I've never been in an online chat room where I haven't seen someone looking for something, whether they're trying to get it from someone directly or if they're trying to find a link for it online. You go to a LAN party and there's file sharing open 24/7.
Some people actually go to LAN parties because it's a great resource, because there's so many computers, and since CD-ROMs are now so prevalent and larger hard drives, there's such a large amount of data that's readily available that people do indulge. But a lot of people actually don't even mess with it.
In my opinion, most people who pirate the games are casual players, and that's it. They don't play the game for very long, and the only reason they get it is because it's available free. It's anybody's guess as to whether or not that person would actually, if they couldn't pirate the game, whether they'd actually purchase it or not.
I think that a lot of gamers have a significant ethic. A lot of them without compunction will get a pirated copy of a game and try it out. If they feel that the game is quality and good, they will go and buy the game. I know a lot of gamers that will do that.
It's kind of the same thing what they say with music. If you really like it, you support the artist or you support the company and you go out and buy the game.
I don't know a lot of college student gamers that will do that, though. College students aren't going to pay for anything if they don't have to. They're in college.
Gaming companies like to say that there's this big evil scourge out there, pirates, they're stealing your money, they're stealing our money, so we have to jack up the costs on the games. I think it's just more of an overinflated sense of the market that was available for those games. For hardcore PC gaming, I'd have to say that if you just grabbed a random person out of that subculture, whatever, they would definitely be white and male.
Probably the average age of gamers, at least from my experience, has definitely got to be in that 18 to 34 age range.
I've seen people who are 40, 50 playing games, regularly. So I'd assume that there's probably some people who are a little older than that.
Being an African American gamer, it's I wouldn't say it's anything unique about it. It's a little different because, you know, pretty much 90% white males. You'll get a couple of females. Usually those are white as well.
I was really pleased to be in a clan where there were 2 other women, and that was pretty cool because there weren't a lot.
And there's 3 other black guys in the clan with me that we play with, and 1 female. You go to a LAN event, you might catch 2 or 3 more females at an 80-party event. I'm sure if you go to the big ones, it's probably on that same percentage.
Yeah, there are less women out there that are gamers than men. From everything that I've seen, I think that's a fairly common statistic. Those women seem to feel very comfortable around men, understand men, and fit right in with a whole gaggle of men all around them. And I certainly feel that way. I would feel more comfortable around a group of men than I would around a group of women. I know that there are a bunch of incredibly nice guys out there that are gamers that would love nothing more than find a female gamer. So we need more female gamers out there if you're watching this. There are a lot of nice guys. You should get to know them.
Any type of fair play that might exist in the real world, in a physical sport, for example, is completely thrown out the window when it comes to an online competition or one that takes place at a LAN party. People will try to get every type of advantage they can, whether it's hardware, a program that allows them to cheat and bend the rules, or take advantage of a loophole or a bug that exists in the game. It's no holds barred. In an older version of Counter-Strike, the more frames you could generate per second, the faster you could display a new frame on the screen meant that you could fire your weapons faster, and the more bullets you could fire faster, the more quickly you could kill somebody. So therefore, you got the edge there.
It's a catch-up game. I mean, my husband cannot go to a major LAN party without getting some kind of upgrade. He's like, a LAN party, I got to get a new hard drive, or hey, I got to get the latest GeForce, or my monitor's going bad, think I need that 21-inch.
Upgrading definitely helps with the performance of some of the games, especially with the first-person shooters. You have to have that smooth frame rate.
The computer completely acts as the facilitator for you participating in that tournament, so therefore, the better computer, it's like having a better set of tools to work on a car or something.
Gamers are very, very pleased with their computers. They love their computers. My husband's a systems engineer. He does all of it. We get it by parts, which is quite common in the gaming industry. I don't know anyone that's a serious hardcore gamer that says, yeah, I went to Dell and I got the new Dell. I have a friend who was over here last night. We had a mini LAN with 3 people, and he had just gotten and built a new PC, and it was one of those, I tell him he's vain, but the side had a plexiglass pattern in it, and he had a neon light in it, and he had all this stuff, and he had grills that had biohazard symbols, and this is getting really popular for I'm thinking mostly gamers, because they're very proud of their PCs. What is the impact? What is the prevalence of pornography at LAN parties or in the gaming community? Rampant, absolutely rampant. I mean, they go hand in hand, and they're lots of fun together. Gamers are a fun sort from what I've seen.
If I hosted a LAN party and we didn't have pornography there, that would be very strange.
There's tons of it. That's the only way I can describe it. I've never been to one where there's not a showcase of who's got the most, who's got what, who's showing it on their desktop, who's got it as wallpaper. It's pretty much just another side event.
Pornography and PC gaming, it's almost like they go hand in hand. Everywhere you look, in addition to the typical marketing sex sells kind of thing, people who have bandwidth to play games have bandwidth to download porn.
As far as how women in the gaming community are seen, I think men approach them with a level of trepidation. All you have to do to a group of men or a man is say, hey, a nice porn over there, and give them an indication that this is okay, it's copacetic, that they can have porn and you don't mind, and that's cool, and they'll just open right up to you.
If we didn't have violence, we wouldn't probably have the games we have today. I think that violence and games are very interwoven. I think Myst stands out as a very non-violent, successful game. But it was very heavily shunned by the hardcore gaming community. as not a real game.
Is a game more intriguing because it's violent? And that I don't know. Certainly, I remember when Quake 1 came out, and I believe it was Quake 1, and we had the opportunity to change whether we wanted green blood or red blood, and boy, we were all about that. It was called gibs. Gibs were the bits of pieces of people that flew, and that was pretty cool. But at the same time, you know, my goal, and what I saw a lot of people was, I want to be skilled at this game. I want to beat everyone else.
In general, if I compare PC games personally with my experience in movies or books I've read, conflict is a very prominent thing, and conflict drives stories.
I think when you first get the game, it's kind of cool to see what the engine will do in terms of realism. When you get to a level of competing that most online gamers, especially for gamers that are money, all it really is about clicking and getting the score.
I know a lot of people look at PC games as overly violent, and I have to agree that there are some that are kind of go over the top.
Some games use that actually as a selling point, saying we have the most gore and the most accurate depiction of killing.
Violence sells, no matter if it's a lot of gore, if it's just, you know, something as small as worms where you just, you know, blowing little creatures off the map.
As much as I think that violence sells games, once you go beyond a certain point, you're not really contributing to the game itself as far as whether people enjoy it or not. And that given enough time, people who play the game start to get into the real gameplay, you know, what makes that game any different, and that impacts the longevity of the game.
My social circle predominantly consists of people who are like my wife in that they don't understand why I'm spending so much time playing computer games. However, in the last 6 years, I think it's slowly creeping into mainstream such that more and more people are saying, yeah, I know what Quake is, I know what Unreal Tournament is, I know what Counter-Strike is.